There we are. Well, welcome back to the front row seat. We're here again, and we're going to do this in the best way we can. And the lovely Pamela is here joining me, and we are just both trying to hang on and get through this process that we're trying to discover. And I think that what we've been discussing lately is that we need to go ahead and do this process, this healing fear work, whatever you want to call it, and we need to go ahead and get this recorded, and so maybe the other people can help, and it provides a support network while we work through this stuff. And so welcome back, Pamela. Here we are again. We're doing it.
Hello. Yes, we are doing it. And thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of the beauty that you share in your process and all of the wisdom and all of the insights. It's huge and it's so necessary. And as we were sharing just before we hopped on, like it's been I love how you said it, you're like everybody's face planting this week. And wait a minute, it's Tuesday.
Okay, well, it was last week, and I think everybody's just kind of waking up and stepping away from it, going, "What in the hell just happened?" It was everybody was just face planting. It was like, all right, here the realm just shook it up like a snow globe. It's like, okay, everybody, let's go in and face ourselves and see what we got in this little bucket.
Yeah, exactly.
It was, and it really started, with our show last week, because we were both feeling it then. I was like, yeah, this is, boy, we don't know who to beat up or where to put this anger, which is fear. Anger is just a hat that fear likes to walk around in, thinks it's cute and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really just fear hiding under there. So it's like, you don't know where it's at, and it just starts coming up, and you start trying to, because it's uncomfortable, and you're trying to move and shift, and it's there, no, it's from this, and no, it's, wait a minute. And so then you have to just kind of stop. And then while we was on the podcast, we were talking about it and how it feels like self-attack, because we really couldn't understand what was happening there. And when we start feeling bad, that's the first thing that a lot of us do, is attack ourselves. Well, what's wrong with you? How come you're not acting right? How come you're not acting right? How come you don't feel good? How come you're not being positive? What happened here? What where did all the good vibes go? Because they do go and they come, and it's energy. It's our energy that's coming and going. Like we're standing right here, right now. Our energy is flowing through us. This is what we do. We're an energy being. So I was, as I was working through that, and we were talking about it on the live, I was feeling it, and I felt that, and I was just, but it was nice, because by the end of the podcast, we both felt a little better, because we were kind of sharing the space of how icky that. It was a wonky IP address. It sure was. It was a wonky one. It was wonking out, and it was like my wagon wheel was having a blowout, and we were still going down the road sliding sideways. But I just kept going, and this is what ensued following that podcast, is I just stayed with it. And I think this is key, is when you get a wonky IP address, there's other things you can do, distract yourself from it, go take your mind off of it in other ways. Yes, some of us need to go to work and all that, but when it comes, just let it be there and let it be what it is. And as I stayed with this one, it just kept coming, and it was coming for everybody else too. So I was like, well, we might as well all just do it together. Here we are. Oh, it's not funny. It was funny now, but it wasn't funny when it's happening.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah, we can laugh and feel better now. So I'm going to.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the night, this was probably Friday night, somewhere. So in the middle of the night, I wake up and I could not go back to sleep, because I just kept letting it do its thing, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm just there, and my eyes are open in the dark. I don't know if I remote viewed this thing or whence it came, but I could see in my mind's eye, I was not having a visual hallucination, but I could see in my mind's eye, I could see this woman, and she had on these green, those glasses that are cut at the top,
Yeah.
and then they're round at the bottom. So they were green glasses that looked like that. And this woman was looking at me, and she was not happy. She was upset. And, basically the look on her face is, you better quit it or else, one of those things. And I said, okay, all right, I feel really scared, and I could feel all of this fear. I mean, it was just rolling through my system. I said, wow, this is something here. And I tried to look around in my mind's eye, and if I could see anything, and I saw it was a little cot I was in, and there was the bars, and then I could see her over, and she was sitting at a counter. And so I kind of worked out. It's like, okay, I'm in a hospital. This is a hospital. She's looking at me. She's not happy. She's really not happy. And instead of just trying to analyze anymore, I just let go and let myself feel that space, and just be in it. And I think that this is part of the key to this kind of work is when you go into those spaces and you find these places within yourself, is grounding that energy. I think that this energy is what gets stored, like in your fascia, where it makes us, tight and restricted in our body. I think that that's what this energy is. It's stored there, but there's no memory to it. There's just the way it feels, the way it felt in that space. Because when I was in that space with the green-eyed glasses lady, the way I felt was the exact same way I'd felt all week, just not to that intensity.
Okay, thank you for saying that, because I was
like, wait a minute, this is all, and I remember thinking, this is all connected together. This is like a spider web. It's all in there. Yeah.
So when you started having this experience, you weren't attempting to?
No.
No. Oh, okay. So you were having a rough week, and you were having you felt your energy. Were you feeling a lot of anger? Were you feeling sadness? What were you experiencing that you were feeling like you were face planting?
Well, I mean, the only way to describe it is, I felt scared. Yeah, it was just
okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I was feeling fear. I was definitely in fear. Yeah. But I would like bubble to the surface and feel better for a minute, occasionally. It was like going up and down, then I'd go down, then I'd go up. It's like, okay, I can breathe. Everything's all right. Look around. Yep. All right. All is well. Back down I'd go. And, and that's kind of how it went. It was like a bobber, bobbing up and down the water. Yeah. Until the big kahuna came. Then I went all the way under, and we kind of rolled around in there, and it was like, I was like, yeah, wow, this is really intense. But I knew just from being there and feeling the way it felt and staying with that vibration, I knew that something was happening, but I didn't know what. I didn't know that I was going to feel better later or whatever. So I ended up going back to sleep. And then when I woke up, I felt entirely different. I felt so much better, but it felt like I had just had some kind of psychic surgery, like something had just been ripped out. Wow. And it's out now. Okay, it's out. It's out. Oh, yeah. Wow. I feel better, but you're still kind of in shock going, what the hell, And that's kind of where I was. And I call it strange, but it's really not strange. We have these ties to all of our family and family members, and, and the scene that I was in was when I was probably 1 or 2, somewhere around there. My parents had, they had all chaos was breaking loose everywhere. I'm in the hospital. They're dealing with all this other stuff. They ended up needing to leave me there with the nurses, which should have been okay. But see, we didn't get a good nurse that night, and she wasn't helping me. And that's what it was. I was looking up and trying to get the help I needed. I'm crying, and she was basically not helping me. and she was acknowledging, I see you. I see you there all upset, but you better shut up, right? One of those deals.
Yeah.
And so it just frightened me so profoundly that, anyway, let me backtrack a little bit. What happened, that next morning, my mother called me. We don't talk every day. We maybe talk every 6 weeks or something like that. That's about our pattern. We'll talk every 6 weeks. We catch up with everything, and then we go on another 6 weeks. That's about our pattern. Well, I just talked to her a few weeks back. And so the very next morning, the same time this happened, she called me. And we did not talk about it. I didn't want to bring it up. The only thing I said was it was something about I can't remember now. I was still in such a state, but we talked, but it was just weird on the inner level. It almost felt like, a mother that's there with you, and it's like, it's okay, and so as I went on, I talked to my mother and I started feeling better and getting through it. Then I can get to the memory now. And it scared me so bad. I quit talking and didn't speak again until I was 4 years old. I didn't talk at all from 1 to 4. There was no words.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was one of those that's how bad it affected me.
Oh.
And so I quit talking, and I've always loved lemon, anything, lemonade, lemon pie, anything lemon. And then I was able to recall a memory of my mom standing there with lemon drops, and she was bribing me with lemon drops. That's how they got me to talk again. Was lemon drops. I had to ask for what I needed or whatever, and then if I would speak it, then I would get a lemon drop. So, and to this day, I still love lemon. So they figured it out. They got me talking again, and I moved on. But see, I had this psychic, trauma in there that I couldn't get out. So it just was stuck. And it was just my energy stuck there from that time,
Yeah.
And I didn't have any memory of it. I don't remember that green-eyed glasses lady. She scared me too bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Case in point, right? Like it was lodged in there, that fear.
It was lodged in there and covered over, and just and those times I would feel that way, I had no idea that could be what it is, And so what, a little child's going to do is, when they're faced with something like that, they're going to think they did something wrong, I'm totally in trouble. I've really fucked up here, right?
Well, seriously. And it's obviously we're going to internalize that.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What other option do we have?
There's nowhere for it to go.
Exactly.
Yeah. So scared me speechless. And then, when my parents showed up, what am I going to do? Tell them all about it? No.
Yeah. It's like, okay, Mom, sit down. We need to chat. Right? No.
Yeah, the only memory I have is their faces, like looking over the crib. And I do remember that.
Yeah.
I can see, their faces looking over the crib. But that was my relief. Oh my God, you're back, one of those. So it was like, okay, I'm going to survive this. All is well. But, I'm sure to little kids that seemed like a lifetime, being in that situation. And look how this see, it hadn't stopped since all this happened. I became a nurse.
That's what I was like, holy shit, man. She became a nurse.
And then one of the things I always had was never be ugly to people who are suffering, because a lot of people I encountered in nursing, they were suffering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was in me from there. So it traumatized me so bad. What must have happened was like, okay, I can become a nurse, and then I can correct this. I can fix this within me somehow, and it's not out there. See, once again, it's not out there. It's in here. And that's where it was.
Well, and but you didn't even do that. Like,
I had no awareness.
Consciously though, of like becoming a nurse because of that, right?
No.
Which that's what's so fascinating it's like, as you say, under the hood, there's so much more going on.
There is so much more going on under the hood. I don't think that it's good to dredge up the past all the time and be upset and make myself into a victim. But I do think that it's very necessary when you're feeling a certain way to deal with that and deal with it within yourself. And, instead of throwing that hat of anger on top of it and going around attacking all the people around you, I mean, you can do that. They're used to it,
Well, but the other thing is too, is that the only reason that we need to go into the past is to learn and grow from it, right?
Yep.
Otherwise, or celebrate, enjoy the memory,
Yes. There's good ones in there too, where we can reconnect to those and feel loved, right? And or feel kindness or caring from other people.
That's for lucky people.
Oh, you've had those feelings with your babies. Come on.
Yes, my babies. That's so true.
Yes.
And my kitties.
And your kitties.
I've had it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, there's good stuff. Well,
there is.
I've got some good people in my life now, but on an overall, it was rough, right?
Oh yeah. And I
again,
think
it's my
perception. All of us are going through it. It's rough for everyone.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
What we do here is really hard, but I think that's what we came to do, is to ground this energy.
Yes.
This energy, this fear. Fear is an energy. It's not just like an abstract concept. It's energy that we feel. It is us. We are the fear. It's us. And that's what it means by changing yourself at the being level. And what is the contents of your energy? Is it flowing love? Is it the energy of love? Is it, really coherent and easy to be around? Or is it fear? And is it chaotic? And, just being aware of these states that we're in, because this is the work. This is the fear work. And this is what we're doing. And we were talking just a minute ago about, there's millions of books. There's millions of books on this subject. Everybody's been talking about. Carl Jung talked about this in the archetypes. Joseph Campbell talked about this in the Power of Myth, the series that he did. These motifs and these things that we go through are all over in indigenous culture. So this is something human. It's something that we all have within us. And it's the self. Journey to the self. And going in and then maintaining that connection to yourself is what this journey is all about. And what hasn't been done is doing it live and capturing it. So I think that if we can get that done and capture some of it live, then it's not just in a book anymore. It's out where we can even, reference back to it. We have support, because as you're trying to ground this fear energy, this energy causes all kinds of chaos in this world, and it's everywhere right now. I think that the only way out of the mess we find ourselves in is through doing this work, and it's the only way out is in. And I think this is it. This is why we're doing this and why we need to do it. It's the only way to evolve out of it, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
You got to evolve out of it.
100%. And, I appreciate that you sharing that, because we also feel very alone, right? And so speaking to your point about,
you got to walk across those coals by yourself, but it sure does help if there's someone standing there going, oh goodness, it's going to be all right. Oh, I see you. I see you doing this work. Yeah. You're doing it.
Like
go. You're going to be okay.
Yes.
You're going to survive this. Yeah. And I think that what helped me get to the place where I can stand in these places without collapsing, I was never able to work through it before, right? Because so it's always been there. But I went to 6 immersives with Tom Campbell. We were all going to learn how to go out of body and go learn how to what was the other ones? Go out of body, learn to remote
view.
view. Learn how to reach point consciousness,
Mm.
learn how to shift data streams, to just learn how to do, all these little tricks the mind is capable of doing, right? If you're super intuitive, if you're not, then you'll need to meditate, and you'll eventually get to where you can do the things, So I went to 6 of them, and each one I went to had a different bucket of fear waiting for me there. And I was even thinking, I came here. This is supposed to be vacation. This is this does not feel good. So I think it was the second one I went to. The second one I go to, and you've got to fly, and you've got all that half a day. Then you've got to get on then you have to get another, what was it? It was just a ride in a bus ride up into the mountains, for another hour after you get off the plane. By the time you get there, get in your room, you're just splattered, you're just super tired.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And by that point I'd talked to 100 people that day, So I get there, I'm exhausted. I go in the room, and you shared a room. So it'd be 2 people to a room. And so when you got there, you'd meet who you were sharing a room with, which I didn't mind. I didn't care, I was there to work anyway. And I knew it by the second one. I knew, I knew this may not be so easy. Right. So I just thought, oh, we're going to go meditate and learn these tricks. But see, I think that was the trick to get you there to work on your stuff. But it worked anyway.
Ready.
Yeah. So I get there, I walk into my room, and there was this woman there. And look how it's coming back full circle here. There was this woman in there who probably looked a lot like that nurse. Right? That archetype in my mind, the feminine, right? Archetype in my mind. That's where it got pinned to, right? Women can do this, It's like, oh my God, I didn't know they could do that,
Yeah.
So it's pinned to that specific thing. She was not happy, and that's probably what triggered it in me, right? She wasn't happy, and I could feel it. She was nice enough to me. She wasn't being ugly to me in any way. Her energy felt angry, and so I walked into the room, and it was like, oh no. oh no. Panic at the disco. and it kind of caught me off guard because I was so tired, right? So I'm like, okay. So I go in the restroom, and I get ready to go to bed, and I'm gonna go to sleep, and it's gonna be okay. I'll deal with all this tomorrow with a fresh mind, right? So I go to sleep, and there was this much space in between. It was like a futon bed, and then the other bed, that was in the room. There wasn't very much space. So I'm hanging on to the side of the bed, trying not to bump her cart. She's already mad, right? So I'm already in my stuff, right? So I'm trying not to bump her bed. I finally make it around there. I go lay down, and as soon as my head hit the pillow, I hear in my mind, not a voice, it was my mind. It was like, I hear, go to the pool room. And where we were at, there was if you go downstairs, there was a pool table, and it was like a snack room, and you could get drinks and all that kind of thing. So I hear, go to the pool room. And I remember specifically thinking, it's like, okay, I remember last time everybody was super psychic. I'm just probably picking up on somebody's stuff, It's like, and so I blew it off. And so then I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm going to deal with all this tomorrow. And then I tried to lay down again. And then it was like, go to the pool room. And I was like, I just shot up, and now I'm sitting there half cooked. I'm triggered as hell.
Yeah. Were you scared?
Oh yeah. I was in deep fear. I was in deep doo-doo. I was
okay. Jesus. Oh,
And so there we
Wow.
go. And one thing you got to know at these immersives, there's anywhere from 50 to 60 people there. And anytime you see, Tom Campbell, because he has such a great vibe, he is a vibration of love. I've never experienced anything like Tom Campbell ever in any other person. I've never met anybody like him at all. So everywhere he was in this space, he was always surrounded by a bunch of people talking to him. And when he walks in the room, everybody's just drawn to him. And there you are.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't, I didn't expect to see what I saw when I got to my destination this night, this fateful night, the wind's howling and lightning striking, and it's just, I mean, every kind of spooky, scary thing you could encounter was going through my energy for sure. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to just go. I was like, well, maybe I just need a drink of water. And I'm hearing this because I need to, So I walked out. So now I have to get back out of the skinny space. And I remember hanging onto the bed and I was almost frozen in fear, fight, flight, freeze. Right?
Yes.
So I'm trying to move, but I can't, It's like, then I would look over at her.
God.
And when I would look over at her, she had these, what are those sleeping things are? Those.
Oh, the sleep mask?
Yeah.
Or was it
like a sleep mask on? And I didn't see her put it on before I went, to go lay down in my space. I didn't see her put that on. So when I look back over at her on my way to the pool room, she has that sleep mask on. Scared. So probably that lady with the glasses. See, it's just the same. Yeah. So there we are. And I had to really, really reach around, and I'm feeling my way out of this space. And I go down the stairs. I'm going to the pool room. And so I turn the corner, and of course, you probably know who was standing there. Yep. It was Tom. I look over and I saw him, and I remember this scene because it was such a big, huge thing that happened in my life that really changed it for the better. I mean, it doesn't sound like fun, but this is a really, it was, a big turning point in me being able to heal and get my life and my vibration in a better place. So I see him, and, you're kind of I wouldn't say starstruck. You just know that he's a way more evolved being than you are, and there he is standing there, and there I am standing there. And I looked at him and I said, oh, no, we're not doing this. And I turned back around and started heading back up the stairs. And here he comes, and he's following me going, well, Cheryl, what's wrong? He knew what was wrong.
Wow.
He knew.
That's so cool, though.
It was cool. It wasn't cool at the time, Pamela. It wasn't fun. I had tears running down my face. I was a hot mess, traveled all day. And it was just like, there I was.
Yeah.
And finally I just gave up. It's like, okay, this is going down. We're doing this. And I just looked at Tom and I said, some things in here, I said, everything that I'm afraid of is up there in my room. That's what I said. Everything up there it's all in my room. It's all there. And I can't, and I just.
Well, it is terrifying.
It was terrifying. And I was just letting it out. And I'm standing there hanging onto the table, like, for dear life. He couldn't walk over the coals with me, and I'm just standing there. It's like, it's just, and he just said two things. He said, use your courage. You can do it. And he just stood there, and I could feel his presence while I faced some of this fear. He didn't face it for me. I had to face it, and I had to feel it. But he was like, he provided that safe space for me to be able to face this intense fear without turning back in horror and running away,
Right.
The horror, this fear really is within you. It's a terrifying place to be within
Oh my
ourselves.
God, it is.
It
It's
is.
grueling. It's
It's
grueling to
grueling.
go through it.
Yeah. And
I
no, I
mean,
didn't want to face that. I didn't want to face Tom. I was like, no, no.
mm,
And so I just
oh,
kept going. There's Tom Campbell standing there patting me on the back. You're going to
oh
be
God.
okay. You're
Well,
going to
and
be
it's
all
when
right.
you're in it, it's a whole different reality when you're
It
in
really
it,
is.
man.
And then we're getting ready to leave. And I kind of come to out of this, it felt the same as this thing felt the other night, like, psychic surgery. That's why I'm telling the story, because I think that just having somebody there in a safe space where you feel safe so that you can walk across those coals is
Yeah.
vital to doing this work. And after it was over, I was just, oh my God. And I started kind of coming to. And then I stand up and there's Tom in front of me and he's holding his Tom Campbell cup. He had a picture on the front. And he's standing there. What is the Tom? Well, I just come get something to drink.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. That's such a funny story. And in my mind, it just cracks me up every time I think about it, because that him standing there with that cup. Yep, it's your big toe. It's because fear is your problem and love is the answer. There it is, Cheryl. If you can't get the message now, you ain't never going to get it.
Oh my God. Yeah, but that it just like happens over and over and over and over, depending upon what your experiences have been.
Right. And
Um,
when it comes up, if you're distracting and trying to worm your way out of it, there
mhm.
is no shortcut. The only way out is through and facing this stuff
Yeah,
and facing the horror of the fear that we have within us and how that feels. And it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. And that's why it's so positive, it's so important to stay positive, because then you have kind of the reserves kind of ready and on board when it's time to go. It's go time, like
mm,
this last week,
yeah,
I knew. It's like, okay, go time. And, when I found those things within me where I would do the self-depreciation thing, when I would start feeling this stuff, I was like, wait, there's something under the hood here that I'm not, fully aware of. I knew that I have fears. We all do, I knew they were in
right.
there. I knew they were coming out too.
They
So,
gonna find you.
wait, what's that
There
saying?
are,
Wherever you go, there you are.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
it's
yeah.
like,
And the next day, I got up, I got it together, and I had to go into the room where everybody was at, right? And I walk in, and then later on, Tom walks by and pats me on the back. Nice job, and walks off. So,
wow, that's
so
amazing.
it gave me the information, like, okay, this fear work. That's kind of how you do it. You just stand there and feel it. Face it and feel it. Use
Yeah,
your courage. Build that courage muscle, and then each time you turn towards it, you get a little bit stronger, and your courage muscle grows a little bit. And
right.
then
Yeah,
I think your courage muscle is one of the biggest things that you can grow, and what helps you do this stuff. And if you don't have courage, stick on some courage badges, because it makes you the sheriff in your own town.
yeah. Well,
I'm the
and
sheriff in my own town, and this is what is going down.
two. Well, well, again, going back to that, it's having that support, because it is scary and it is painful,
Yes,
but it is the only way to
it's the
get
only
there.
way, and there's not any shortcuts either. There's you can't, like, in your mind, okay, I'm going to just build a bridge and get over it, right? You can't build a bridge. It's energy. You can't do anything physical. There's nothing you can do but work with these energies. And I think, again, that's what we're here learning to do, learning to work
Mhm.
with these powerful energies that we are, because they are powerful. It's creative. It makes stuff in the physical realm.
Right.
That this is the energy that's creating everything we see. Everything's created twice. It's created first in the mind.
And then it's rendered.
And then it's rendered. Yes. So here we are on the front row seat. It's all about you. You're doing it.
Well, I think that's a huge, going through that. It's because I've been through it plenty myself, yes. But going back to having that support network, just having you share that, and you've been on the path longer than I have, and you've
I just have somebody show up and say, hey, excuse me, lady, but you're going well. Have you ever looked over here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just, maybe you've had more awareness around it longer, whatever the case is. It's, my point being is just that you've been working with it longer, so you have more awareness around it. And so with that, you're able to share that wisdom, which is imperative. Like you used the term vital. Like it is vital, because like I shared with you last year, I went to the emergency room twice because I was doing the trauma releases, and I thought I was having a heart attack. And really, I thought I was going to die.
You were in that space.
And they're like, lady, you're fine.
You're fine.
And I'm like, what are you saying to me? Like, try not to.
This is not fine.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh my God, and I'm like, this is like the stored information. Like, I
think a lot of it is, because there's a time that we're alive,
unprocessed,
we aren't speaking, so we have no words for it. And I don't think that part of we're not cooked yet. We're not,
Yeah.
And so instead of us being able to just, know what that is, I think that our mind kind of walls that off, right? It kind of walls it off. Okay, we're not seeing that. No, wait, let me start over. I did think about this. I did a walk and talk yesterday where I was still processing this whole thing. And when I was walking and talking, it's like, I think that the mind is just so powerful that we can switch data streams where we're not even linked up to our avatar anymore. We've gone somewhere else, right? We're not even there anymore.
Right. So autopilot.
We're on autopilot. We're gone. We're off in the Netherlands there doing whatever. And so the energy and the feeling of it is all that's there, because I wasn't there. I mean, I'm sure as soon as I saw that lady with glasses, my whole consciousness left my body. It was like, look, we're out.
No, that's so true though. And that's why they call it a trigger, right? It's
right.
Just bringing that to the surface.
It's not that whole thing, but the energy that got trapped, because it's the energy of how that felt that night. And that's what I had to feel and let it dissipate. I had to feel the way it felt, being a little bitty baby in a cot, and parents leave, and then all I've got is Nurse Ratched. And that's what that feels like. And so I know what it feels like to have a Nurse Ratched, and that's why I became a nurse. So I was never be a Nurse Ratched. Isn't that crazy?
It's very fascinating. It's fascinating.
The mind is so fascinating, because look what it did. It just switched data streams, right? And I think it does that to protect the vulnerable mind that's developing, right?
Well, okay. So then also though, but because of the dynamics of how this reality works, it's kind of designed that way, right? Because otherwise, or is it because it evolved that way?
Because it probably evolved that way, or whatever. I'm sure it evolved that way. And that's how it works. I think it protects the being
so that
from psychic damage. right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Because otherwise it would be set up different, right?
Right.
Because
To see, you can go
being,
back and work with the vibration and the energy of it. You can go back and fix that piece, right? But if you've got all kinds of visuals and, feeling every thing that's coming at you, looking across the room, it looks like a monster there with green,
yeah. Well, I
And we
guess I'm
don't
kind of,
call it Medusa. Well, it was Medusa, from a
and
little
I,
kid standpoint,
oh my God,
that would have been Medusa.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I guess I'm wondering too, like at that highly vulnerable, right? We're all very, and so then we
Yeah.
carry that vulnerability into adulthood because obviously it wasn't processed because we didn't have the capacity to process it. But
Right.
that's part of the process, right? Because that, um, even though we carry that with us and we didn't have the awareness around the tools accessible to us, were that also is the force of growth,
Yes. And I was thinking
right?
that myself. It's like, well, what if the experiences that we all have, we don't know, but maybe that's what that comes into our data stream for the specific reason to help you grow and evolve, right?
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
needed to have the Medusa, you know, because if you think
Right.
about it, that's going to make you really go in there and work with that divine feminine. Because see, look what you've got. You've got the Medusa and which is toxic femininity. Then you've got the divine femininity, which is like that witch from the east, with all the sparkles, and she's soft and sweet and coochie and nice. Yeah. So you've got these two characters at play. And I think that, I think the whole feminine side of our psyche has been upset for so long, right? Maybe that's what we're working on. We're trying to get it better, trying to heal some of that and get it back over to the divine feminine that it can be. And the same thing with the guys too,
Right. To
you know,
balance that. It kind of makes
yeah.
me think of, well, I mean, it is. It's kind of because as you know, I was living out of my emotions my entire life, and I'm welcoming in my logic. Hello, it's all new to
Hello,
me.
nice to meet you.
Hmm. But
Please don't hurt
yeah,
me.
and it's like then in the middle there's that wise mind, right? So that's the healthiest place to live, but sometimes we're here and sometimes we're here.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's that unity.
The
So that's what it
observer,
makes me.
there's always the observer there, and that's the you, that's the energy that's you. And then we have these aspects of that energy, different aspects that go into these different archetypes, because we all had a mother, we all had a father. They're so ingrained in us that it goes all the way to our core. So
Oh
yes, we
yeah,
all
yeah.
have a mother father IP address, right? We all have sibling IP addresses. We all have that because we've always been around each other. We're a social species. So the human is going to have all these archetypes within them, right? And it's going to
Yeah.
and they're going to have some energy behind it too. It's like
Oh gosh.
the energy of new love, and when you find your the pair bonding process, and there's all kinds of psychic energies going through that. It makes people stay awake for days. That's kind of the power
Mm.
that all that holds. And you know, going in there and go in there and go help your Medusa. She's trying.
Yeah. Well, I think I feel like we all have what that your experience is a clear example of that. Of there's so much that we haven't tapped into, but it reveals itself as we go on in our process, right? And
Yeah.
when we have,
And then
like you have the,
when you're ready, then you can kind of do the next piece of it, then the next piece, and then the next piece. And I think there comes a point where you just kind of get to the end of that piece. And I think that's kind of what I've kind of found with this fear here around this incident that happened so long ago. And I think that this is how you heal. This is how you get better and heal your life.
well, and so you were ready for that at this time, and all of the prior work that you had done had led to that point, right?
Yes.
So, and I I genuinely and deeply agree with you that just having you to share
Oh,
with, I'm serious. Like it feels the more that we have conversations, and whether it's on the podcast or just us sharing, I just feel I feel like home. I feel like I'm home, that I'm safe, and I'm cultivating a beautiful garden, where it's like, it's okay to be me. And there, seriously, you really, have such a safe space. You hold a beautiful space where I feel safe, and I can share with you exactly what I'm going through. And I'm not in fear of judgment. I'm not in fear of, being rejected or any of that stuff. So, uh, sorry, I don't know how I got off on that
well,
little one, but
most men, when they encounter a woman like I looked that night, would run away. They don't want anything to do with any of that.
mm,
You know, they
well,
try, but men are
right.
not emotional beings. They're not, and I understand. I get it. I know. I've encountered them. They just don't process that way. Had it been anybody else other than Tom Campbell, they probably would have run off. But because it was Tom Campbell, he stood there. He knew what was happening in my mind,
Mhm.
and he knew what to do. So I was probably able to learn a piece of that night. There was learning taking place on so many levels there, and
Right.
hopefully that's what my gift can be, to give back, because I got so many from Tom Campbell. I can't describe them all,
Hmm.
really
Well, and
helped.
I think it's highly necessary, like, to do the work and then to extend your hand and
Yeah,
say, yeah, hey man, I
yeah,
am here for you.
yeah,
And
give back.
you do have to do it yourself, but you know what?
You
We got your
do.
back.
Right.
We're here. We're
And
here,
that's
and
what
we
you
are
and I've been doing.
solid.
You've come a long ways too, just in what has it been? 4 months now?
Something like
4 months?
that.
I must you I mean, wow, you really have moved a lot too. We both have. And I think that that's why it's so important to get together and talk about this stuff and
Yeah.
provide this safe space, because I can see now it is one of the vital pieces that a lot of us don't have. Because I think what happens, like in therapy or other things like that, trying to work on the fear, I don't think that therapy really works that well of dealing with fear, because fear is a weird, it's energy. So you kind of got to wait till it shows up, right? And when it shows up, that's when you deal with it. And, well, you can't like make an appointment all of a sudden. I need an appointment. I need a safe space. You know, you
Right.
can't do that. So,
Well, you can recreate it to recreate the trigger, but Tom has expressed over and over and over that it's the XP. I like to call it the XP. It's the experience, right? That's how you level up.
mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's the experience. So we can recreate it. So we can process some of the stored information or
Right.
energy, or
Right.
but that experience. That's why when I would go into work, and I still do it, I'm like, because that Tom said, he's like, the only antidote to fear is courage. And I am telling you, I'm like, you are going in there. I can feel the energy now. I'm like, you are going in there and you are going to do this. You're going to do this. And I mean, I have plenty left to work on,
Yeah.
but it's like,
You've been chipping away at it though, walking across those
exactly.
poles, because you've been doing it. You've been going and looking at
But
it. Oh,
also,
and you doing it through the Christmas holiday. I was like, oh my God.
well, but also knowing I got Cheryl in my hip pocket. Right? I'm like, no, just knowing that I have someone like my sister and I are, we converse about it and everything.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to share it with her, but it's having someone, and I'm not just diminishing myself or anything, but you're more evolved on the path, right? You have more awareness around it. So I'm genuinely, like, that helps me, you know, carry, I always correlate it to, I've got like 8 anvils strapped to me, and I'm just dragging. I can barely drag myself, right? But knowing that I have, that's what a support network is.
Yeah.
It gives you, it helps your life. What do you call that in a game? Your energy or whatever, your life, your lives or whatever.
What it does when you are getting love and kindness around you, what that does is give you the energy that you need to deal with the stuff, because it takes twice as much energy to deal with. When you're in fear, it takes a lot of energy to get the momentum to get yourself across those coals and facing it and out of there,
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It takes a lot more energy. And look at what's been going on. We get with our girlfriends and we all get together and we all talk about the good stuff. Oh, let's have fun, right? Not often do you call someone and say, oh my God. Or maybe you do. I don't know. I didn't. I think that the people around in my family, they were so face planted in their stuff. I don't want to call them.
Oh my God.
It's like they're face planted already,
Seriously.
Everybody was face planted. Everybody face planted. I was like, oh man, what are we going to do? So I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out.
And being with it, right? Being with it.
Just letting it be there. Go, yep, this is mine. I see you there. I said, I feel anger. Oh, I know. You're just a funny little hat. There's fear. You better get that hat off your head. Look what you're doing. Quit throwing that red angry hat around at people. They didn't do nothing. It's not.
Well, and again, it's like
we're just triggering you. We're just projecting it out and then blaming it out there, and it's not even them doing it. Even if they are, they're still not triggering this thing that we're feeling.
Right.
I mean, they're still not causing the thing that we're feeling. They are just triggering.
Exactly.
They just accidentally stepped on a tripwire. I mean, can you imagine?
Right. I mean,
what if someone had walked into the room wearing those same kind of glasses, right? I would have looked up and went, I would have felt, oh shit, and then not known why I would have reacted out of it, right? I would have looked around the room looking for the assailant.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's freeing. It's liberating to release all of that.
Yes. Getting rid of that. You're pulling those hooks out of yourself, and what it's doing is it's freeing up trapped energy. Your energy is wrapped around that axle of that trauma event, and it's just there. And it's almost like, if you take we're energy, right? So if you take a wire, pinch it all up on itself, how it starts kind of sparking and just, that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's like these energetic, knotted up wads. It's all wadded in on itself. And we can feel it and see it, but it's like, well, what do we do? Do we cut it at each end and then spice it together? And it's like, no, what you do is you jump into the wadded up area. You want to jump into the wadded up area. Go into it. It's like, oh, that feels Get real curious.
That's a kind way to put it.
What is that?
Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, so there's logic and emotion, right?
Yeah.
And then
intuition.
Okay, so this is and the reason now I want to get to why I'm asking this, because it's the stored emotion, right? Or the stored energy, the stored information, however you want to put it. So I have an experience.
Emotion, energy in motion. Emotion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have an experience, right?
Yeah.
And I feel a certain way about it.
Yeah.
And then, so this is my thing. So so I have an experience, I have an emotion about it, and my intellect combines it. They combine my intellect and my emotion combines, and then I create a belief around it, right? The intellect comes in, and then I create a belief around that.
Yes.
Right. So here's my question. So I create a belief around that experience.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm learning to do is that I'm like, Pam, that's a thought, that's an emotion. You can separate the two. You don't have to, you know, you can
don't have to analyze it and make a story into it. Yeah.
And also I can disarm it, right, by separating it. I don't have to have the charge to it. I mean, still have to process. I still have to process, but I'm teaching myself to. I don't have to put that together, because I'm learning that those are tools. I don't identify as them, right? So my thing is too. Then, so with that, the information gets stored. Therefore, I get triggered. Right. So is it helpful? Well, obviously you have to, when it's triggered, you have to process it.
Well, you don't have to. You can go get a beer. That's what I
did that.
That's what I used to do. I would only drink one, but that's what I would used to do, you know? And now,
I had 3.
Now wait a minute. Let myself feel it and wait a minute.
Yes.
You know, and then at the end of it, then I have a celebration beer.
Well, no, that's true. It's like, well, I mean, obviously, as you go through the process, you learn that, okay, you got to face this stuff. This is not this is how it works and things like that. But
hops and tears not going to save you.
Yeah. So I think the understanding around the mechanisms, right? Yes, we're here to have these experiences to evolve the quality of the collective.
Yeah, that's it's all fear. Look at it. It's running around with like a chicken with its head cut off, you know?
So this is our job.
It's getting crazier clown world because
well, it's good.
We're observing it and then making more fear and putting more of it in there. And you know, that's why I think the new stuff is coming out. It's like, wait, we're doing it. Let's go in and see what's going on here. What if that is in? You know, let's look at this in a different way because we're not doing a very good job with whatever it is. Because ain't nobody doing nothing to us because in my 3-foot space, nobody's allowed in here but me, you know? So
yeah.
And I wasn't watching news. So it's like, no, it's not out there. The problem is not out there. I did a lot of experiments and I came to find that I was the problem I was complaining about.
No, but I love that too, that you're going, that you did experiments and what do you want to, well, it showed you. It was the process of elimination. Okay. No, it really is me.
Like, okay, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, it's not that, it's not that, it's not this. And I think that's how the truth is arrived at. You got to get rid of what it is not. Then you can get to what it is. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Seems like a lot of work, but oh well, you know, you finally arrive there if you set your intent, you know, to heal. And I think that's just the beauty of the journey, the inner journey to the self, you know. It's a beautiful thing because once you can get reconnected back with your true self and the energy that flows from all of that, you know, you're really cooking with gas now. And it feels so much better to be connected to yourself because, you know, it really doesn't matter what anybody else is doing or what they do. When you're connected to yourself, you just know, and you know everything's okay. And you know that everything is just the way it needs to be. And you just know all this stuff because the self is all the energy of all of it, you know, powerful energy. And we have, you know, either in when we separate ourselves from that, we are taking away that energy, that fountainhead that's within all of us. And I'm finding this with me and my friends, like, and, you know, even start using the terminology. Well, what does self want? You know, what do you want in here? What do you want? What you want. And that's what all of it's all written about. All of those mystics, this is what they were talking about. The connection to the inner self. And I think the Western world, you know, we kind of lost track of that. It's like, But you know, the Native Americans, they know stuff, right? And so does most indigenous people. And you know, people talk about, well, there's 4 directions, you know. Well, in the Indian Native American, no, there's not 4 directions. There's 5. North, south, east, west, and in. They knew. They knew
Oh,
that
God, yeah.
it was both, and it matched up, and it was a mirror. They knew. So it's like, and you think about it. Okay, so things started happening. Then they got mad. Then they gave it more energy, more fear. Then it got worse, and then it just kept going. That's what I think we do as a collective too. We add energy to it. Then it keeps going. Then it keeps getting worse, and eventually it'll just burn down. It'll just burn down. Then it's not there anymore.
Yeah, well, no, because that brings, you know, it's like you have people that you love dearly who are caught in the fear that is going on in the world, right?
Yes.
And you don't want to add to that.
Don't say that.
You don't want to add to it, right? You just don't.
No, you don't.
No, I wouldn't say.
There's nothing.
And
yeah.
Then it's like you can't fix it.
You can't fix it. You can plant a seed every now and then. You can plant seeds.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I mean, you can, but it's like,
but see, and this is my forum where I can say whatever I want to. So if someone gets upset about me saying that,
oh no, I don't mean
there. Okay, I'm sorry, but
no,
it's us. I believe it's us that's causing all the problems. We're doing it.
Yeah, no, that's why we're here having this conversation.
Not really a belief either. I don't really have a lot of beliefs. I don't think. I'm just open to new ideas, and I've just seen things happen for 62 years, and I know that it comes from thought first. So what's happening out in the world is thinking, and then it's making it. So I just, that's how I know that it's not out there. That the answers are within us, and if someone is focused there and they've succumbed to that fear collective, you know, that's they're going to have to be the one that gets themselves free from it, right?
And to just love them right where they are.
And love them where they are. Yeah, I love people who are happy. I love people who are scared too. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time with you know, people who are so scared that they want to hurt other people. But you know, that just takes discernment, and you know, you're not going to draw that in if that's not what you're thinking about, right? I'm thinking about just fluffy little kittens.
Oh my God.
Right there on the blanket. Look at that little soft kitty. It's all sleepy and comfy. Yeah. And thinking positive, good thoughts, you know, is so important in this process. But, you know, when you're in the throes of it, basically, you know, it's just like you're working hard just to get yourself a cup of tea, you know. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, I put the wrong stuff into my tea, and then I just looked at it. I went, what did I do that for? Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Where was I? Yeah.
I just walked out of the kitchen. I just gave up. It's like, I'm just going to go in here. Oh my God. Or salt baths. Salt baths are really, really good when you're in the throes of one of these things, because what it does is it relaxes your body. And that's really another thing. It's hard to do. Again, it's hard to relax your body when you're feeling like this. But if you can do that, you are going to get ahead of the thing, you know, and it'll give you a little more energy, and so you can focus and get it out and get done what needs to get done. Yeah.
Well, and I think that is,
go through it, then you're just going to get stronger. Your courage is going to grow. And then every time you know, come to face another one, then you're going to be strong enough to face that one too. See, then as the fear starts residing, because this is where it's coming from, as you start getting less and less fear and less triggered, then you feel better and better and better, and you get more and more energy. And then when you have that kind of energy flowing through your system, when one of them comes up, it's just like looking over at it and go, yeah, I know you.
Right. You feel more
there
equipped.
You are. I see you, and you need to just go. I'm going to come here. Come here. Let me give you a kiss. I'm going to rip you out by the roots. And that's basically what's going to happen. It's like, okay, I'm total fear. Don't be afraid of my fear. Come here.
Right. Well, and that's why I think it is really important to know, because when you're going through it and your body is doing crazy shit, man, you're going, like, it's terrifying.
I know. Like, you know what? Some people like will break out, their whole body break out hives.
That's me.
Reacting. Oh, you did that?
Oh, that's like literally, like they look like welts. Like they're like my entire body. And I learned, well, and then I was like, oh my God, my body responds to stress with histamine.
You were doing that. Oh my gosh.
Like really, really bad.
And like,
and it's not as bad as it used to, but no, I don't go to the doctor very often. That's why it's like, whoa, I went to the emergency room twice. But anyway, yeah, my response was the hives. And that would be a really cool thing to have a conversation around, is going, how our body responds to this stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, the grounding, you said the orientation and grounding in one of the other videos is super important. And the salt baths and stuff like that. But knowing, because you're in it and you're so scared and your body is doing all this crazy stuff. Plus you're, there's a lot that goes into it.
It feels like your basket case is sort of, while you're in it. And
oh my God.
We talked about that. I really love that. Love your basket case.
Oh my gosh.
Love your basket case. It's just, you're going to be all right.
Yeah. And that's hard.
You're only a basket case right this minute. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's you do slowly get to that place of like, I mean, I think I'm just starting to get to the tip of that I'm okay. Like I'm just starting to step into it. I'm just starting to step into that. You're okay. It's okay. So when I go through it again, I'm getting better at not freaking completely out. But when it's a really big one, it's hard not to.
It is. It's panic at the disco. Panic at the disco, hit the panic button and off we go.
Oh my God. It's that roll bar. Buckle up.
Roll bar. Here we go.
Buckle up. The rocket ship is taking off. Holy Lord.
Whether you're ready to go or not, here we go.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It was like, you get to go on a ride you didn't even pay for or nothing, You're
welcome.
You're welcome. Oh, my love. Let's go ahead and end this talk here. I think that we talked about everything that we needed to right now, and let us go back to our resting from our hard week. And nice job, whoever watches this, because I know that a lot of other people are going through the same thing. I don't know if the stars lined up and the realm just decided, okay, we're all doing fear work this week, y'all. I don't know what happened, but
the collective, there's a lot going on in reality, man.
There is. And so let's just be proud of ourselves that we made it through this week, and we did great. And here we are. We loved our basket cases through it, and we're back. Mm-hmm. We were able to step off of the rocket ship, and here we are.
We landed.
Everything. We landed. The rocket ship is landed now. Everybody can exit the craft to the left.
Yeah.
This ride is over. It was like that Willy Wonka ride they had in the Willy Wonka movie. Remember the ride where they went into this tunnel and they all thought it was going to be all fun and games, and all of a sudden it just it was just all scary. And then they come out the other end of it, right? And then they had bubbles all over them. I think that was kind of describing this process.
Oh, you know what? You are so good at that. You are really creative, man. Because I love that how you make the correlations from like the different movies and stuff. Seriously, because that's such a beautiful metaphor and a visual too
Yeah.
to
You're just in a
have
really
that.
long ride. Just buckle in.
And then the bubbles and where you're floating and you feel good and at the end of
Yeah.
it. That's
We're gonna
really
get some
cool.
bubbles when we get out of this rocket ship, and we everything's gonna be just groovy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome too, Pamela. Thank you so much. And thank you for
Thank you.
joining us on Front Row Seat.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for allowing us to share.
Peace out.
Toodles.